Welcome back, folks, and to all of the new people joining this video, welcome. I'm Barry Mountford. If you like photography tutorials, tips, reviews, behind the scenes, why not consider subscribing to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through the lighting setup, the behind the scenes, and all the gear used to create this image. So to kick off 2020, folks, I'm going to be putting together my first portrait lighting series on the channel, and this is episode 1 of that series. Now, I've had a recent shoot where I've broke each individual lighting setup down, and I'm going to be releasing a video for each lighting setup to show you folks how it was set up, how it was lit, what gear was used, and all the behind the scenes footage too. So if you like that kind of thing, folks, stick around because it's going to be good. I've got a lot of information to share for you folks. You'll be able to take away from that, set up yourself and start shooting. Now, all the gear I'm using, folks, will all be linked in the description below, so if you want to head down and check that out. But don't worry, if you don't have the same gear, you will still be able to set this up using the lights that you have. So to give you a little bit of context behind me and Ashleigh shooting, I first met Ashleigh about 3 to 4 years ago on a project, personal project I was working on called Tattoo Life, where I put a shout out to everybody in every walk of profession who had tattoos to come along and take part in my Tattoo Life project. Great fun project to take part in. And it was great to meet Ashleigh there, and that was about 3 to 4 years ago, and I do believe that was her last photo shoot before she kind of moved away from modelling to start a family. And I just recently saw her put a shout out saying that she was getting back into modelling, so I contacted her and we collaborated to put together some ideas, and that's how this all came about, which was great because it allows me obviously to show you folks a lot of different lighting setups and share a lot of information with you too, and also get some great images out. Have a great fun time, to be fair, and that's what it's all about, having a great fun time, create images like this. So to kick this image off, I wanted to start with my favourite light modifier that I've been using in 2019, which is the Pixel Pro optical snoot. Really fantastic bit of kit. If you don't know what it is and you want to see a little bit more in depth, I'll stick a card above where I've made a review of this, the optical snoot, and show you all the ins and outs of it and what it can do, what you can achieve with it. So head over and check that out if you wish. Cracking little tool I'd recommend or any photographer to have one in the bag because it allows you to be super creative. So as you can see, what this has done on this image, it allows me to put a gobo in here and allows you to project patterns from through the lens, and it enables you to focus that lens and defocus it as well, so you can get it looking at exactly how you want. And that's allowed me to get that nice strip light coming down the front of Ashleigh. So really versatile tool to have in the bag, and one that again just allows you to be really creative and think outside the box. Changes a standard portrait into something really more dramatic and just edgy. I love it. So we'll start off with the background light, because that's kind of where I start off first. I always try and get the background light looking nice. So you can see in the video here, I'm just setting up behind the model a light in a standard reflector, and I've placed a 60-degree grid on there to see what the ball of lights, and that's how I first started out. I test the lighting behind the model to see what that's going to look like. So I did try a 60-degree grid on there, and then I also tried putting a diffuser on there. Now, if you haven't got any diffusers for your 7-inch reflectors, which not many people do them, I don't think. If you haven't got any kind of diffuser for the 7-inch reflectors, you can use like a tracing paper, some diffusion paper, but I tend to just grab a plain white shower cap and just whip that round the end of the reflector, and it works just as well. So I tried it with a diffuser and without the diffuser and just the grid, and I preferred the look of the grid, so we left it with just the 7-inch reflector on and a 60-degree grid on the background, and that was sitting about 2 foot off of the background, so bear that in mind. Now, the next thing I done was obviously we wanted to get that light coming down the front of Ashleigh's face. Now, we've got to be really specific, so we've had to turn the lights down so we can see when we're projecting the light through the optical snoot. Ideally, you want a light which has a modelling lamp on, which would make the whole process a lot easier, because then you can see where the light's falling on your subject, so bear that in mind. You can't do it without, but it's a little bit more difficult, so a light with a model lamp on is a lot easier. So I wanted to get that light look coming straight down the front of Ashleigh's face, and also hitting the tattoo on her shoulder as well as she's looking over. So to do that, I've turned the lights out, and I've spent some time positioning the light, also adjusting the focus as well to see how hard or soft I want the shadows falling through the projection of the gobo, so you can have it really as if it's like a super sharp line of the shadow, or you can kind of just soften it up a little bit. I've chose to soften it up, which is just that was my taste. Now, I didn't meter for that light. I'm shooting tethered to the laptop, and I like working that way when I'm doing stuff like this, a little bit more creative, because it just allows me to pinpoint it exactly how I want it to look. so there was no light meter used on this one. So once we've got that little strip of light coming down the front of Ashleigh, the next thing to do was to add a hair light. Now the hair light is going to just make the image pop, obviously separate your subject from the background. Even though you've put that ball of light on the background, it still has that little bit more of an edgy look to the image, so it separates the subject from the background, and it just makes the image pop a little bit more also. So that's what we're doing, added the hair light. Now the hair light is sitting, I've got that placed right above the subject at the back, and as you can see from the image, just makes it pop from the background. Even though we've got that ball of light on the background, which is obviously showing up all the lovely textures in the hand painted canvas that we're using, the hair light just makes that image just stand out and pop from the background, which works really well, especially with the colour of Ashleigh's hair too. Again, it comes down how hard you want that light or how strong you want that the kick light at the back, the hair light. That's down to the individual, the creatives. That's down to your judgment. You get to choose how strong or how weak you want that light coming at the background. That's your decision. And now what I did notice, obviously, once those three lights were going, that the back, Ashleigh's back was just falling. It was just a bit too dark, and I wanted to lift the shadows a bit. Now to do that, I simply just used an inexpensive 5mm reflector, and I've hung that at the side of Ashleigh, and that's just bounced a little bit of light, lifted the shadows ever so slightly. Now the camera settings, we're shooting at f8, ISO 100 and 1/200th of a second, and I'm actually shooting on the Nikon Z6, and it was the 24-70 kit lens. Don't underestimate your kit lens that you get with your camera, especially when you're shooting in a studio environment using lights, because every lens has a sweet spot, and when you're using lights, it make a massive difference to any lens also, so never underestimate your kit lens, folks. So that's how we came about creating the image of Ashleigh. Pretty simple, straightforward setup, one that you guys can use. Hopefully you guys will be able to take away from this and use in your own setups and create your own images. Now, if you don't have an optical snoot, there's many ways around that also. Back in the day before the optical snoot was out, I had to use bits of cord that I would put in front of a light to create a slit, small slit, and shine the light through, and that is also a way of creating stuff like that. You can create different patterns. It's basically just putting a gobo between your light source and your subject, and that is then projecting that onto your subject. So there's many ways around it. If you haven't got one of those optical snoots, you can still recreate this image using bits of cord, bits of paper. It's just thinking outside the box, folks. It's definitely doable. I've done it before in the past, okay? So like I say, if you don't have all the gear that you're using, all the gear that I'm using, you can still recreate this image. But if you do want to check out the gear I'm using, links will be in the description below, folks. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this video, folks. I hope it's been helpful, and I'm looking forward to putting out the next episode in this series. So make sure you stick around, and if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel, folks, so you can continue seeing these videos on how I've lit and shot the images. So with that being said, folks, appreciate you staying around till the end and watching this video. Look forward to see you in the next video. So I'll see you then.